right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Big win for the Eagles, taking down the Dolphins 34-17. I am your host, Austin Hamill. Joined with me is Joey Marks. Joe, how's it going, man?
It's going very well tonight, and hopefully just the beginning of a good week ahead in Philly sports.
Definitely agree with you there. Pat Bernard will be along with us shortly. He has a few things to take care of before he hops in. But let's just dive right into this, man. Eagles go through the first half, end up leading at the end of it 17-10. What were your takes from just the first half of play initially?
Here's the thing. In the beginning, when these two teams both lined up opposite of each other on paper, you would think that this score was going to be like 45-40, in favor of the Eagles. You thought if they don't score 90 points combined, there's something wrong. The Dolphins were on like an historical pace. No one thought they could be stopped. And then they came into South Philadelphia, and the Eagles put on their Kelly Green war paint and decided that they were going to just say, no, that's enough of that. And after the first quarter, where it seemed like they were just two heavyweights just jabbing it out, and then someone on the Eagles sidelines like, are we done with playing with these fools? Are we done? Because it was pretty fast. Both offenses were up and down pretty fast in the first quarter. It seemed like I think they both had two possessions each in the first quarter, and that's pretty decent for an NFL football game. And so honestly, then you get into the second quarter, and then all of a sudden the gloves came off, and both teams were like, wait a minute, we're good. What are we doing to each other? And then I think all defenses were like, hold on, emergency, because Tyreek Hill got off and A.J. Brown got off. We even had a Julio Jones sighting, and that was exciting. Always an enemy, now an ally. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed in the very beginning like, is this going to be more of a defense? Is this going to be an offensive letdown on both ends? Like the networks were selling this as being a shootout, and it looks like neither team brought their guns to the OK Corral. So it was kind of like that at first, and then all of a sudden it was like, nope. We got our bazooka and we're ready to go. And Jalen Hurts brought his bazooka in the form of a nice throws and being able to lean on his legs occasionally to get us out of trouble. And we'll get into that a little later too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with how the first half went. That first quarter was definitely a bit of a feeling out process before the real blows started being thrown. Yeah, just overall, obviously the protection was better this game because of the fact that Lane Johnson was back in there. Not a lot of stuff coming off of that right hand side. They did get some pressure in there on that side against Lane Johnson. He's dealing with an ankle injury, so he's not going to be as good laterally as he normally is. But overall, this team definitely put out the proper effort throughout the first quarter of play, and then we're like, okay, we know what this team's all about. Let's just start flying. And both teams just started to try and explode as often as they could.
I think most Eagles fans would agree that an 80% Lane Johnson's still better than about 60% of other tackles in the league.
Yeah, so, I would 100% agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, like you said, second quarter came and both offenses started taking their real shots downfield. And then we hit halftime with the score 17-10. And then give me your thoughts on the second half, because that's where everything really happened.
Here's the thing. In the second half, especially the way that the first half ended, and Jalen Hurts getting hit, and Nick Sirianni with 3 timeouts deciding to go to half, knowing that the Dolphins were going to get the ball and possibly could tie the game coming out of half, Nick knew that the momentum could swing against them. And it kind of did at first, but not the way and not in the most conventional way. The Dolphins came down and they had to to punt, and then you get Jalen Hurts gets picked off in the first play. And that's kind of like mind-boggling because Jalen's always been really good with protecting the ball. He's had some troubles this year, but that pick six by Jerome Baker was huge, ties the game, and then it seems like the Eagles went into another gear. And I don't think the Dolphins were ready for that another gear. I think they were already at high velocity. And basically the Eagles were like, "Yeah, we got another gear. We're gonna kick it in the high gear now. See if you guys can really hang with the big boys."
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this guy, Howie Roseman, the genius of GMs, basically built this offensive line and defensive line of the Eagles to withstand any kind of like pressure and speed. They're going to beat you down. That's why I use the analogy of heavyweight fight, because when you come to face the Eagles, you're facing a heavyweight fight. And that's fine if you have a couple jabs and a couple hooks and you feel like you can throw a couple haymakers. But the big question is, can you hang with the kind of haymakers that the Eagles will throw back at you? Now, look, I know what people are going to say. The critics are going to say the Dolphins were without their top two corners. Yes. And we also have to not have amnesia and say, well, the Jets were a far worse team than the Dolphins, and they didn't have their top two corners, and we lost. This time, Jalen's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. And sure enough, it was shame on the Dolphins tonight by an explosion in the second half. And honestly, at the end of the game, the Eagles could have went in for another touchdown, but
Definitely.
sportsmanship being what it is, and I will kind of give a little bit of a spoiler in my mind to this. Don't be surprised if you see this game again this season, maybe in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's definitely very possible. I mean, you look at how Kansas City played against the Chargers earlier in the day today. Definitely was not their best game, but they still managed to pull one out. But then you look at how Miami played against one of the better teams in the league in the Philadelphia Eagles. It was two totally different teams throughout the day today in terms of Kansas City and Miami. Want to get into the numbers really quick here. Jalen Hurts finishes the game with a 279-yard game, 23 of 31 passing, 2 touchdowns and an interception. A.J. Brown with 10 catches, 137 yards in the touchdown. Looking over at the Dolphins side, Tua Tagovailoa finishes 23 of 32, 216 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And then Tyreek Hill gets very limited, even though he did show some flashes of effectiveness throughout, having 11 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown. Who was the player to you that stood out the most throughout this entire game?
It's interesting. Because we talked earlier about the first half. I have to give a lot of kudos for, especially considering it's tight end day, National Tight End Day. I have to give a lot of kudos to Dallas Goedert. For early part of this season, people were like, "Where is Dallas Goedert?" Like, we want to see more of Goddard. I mean, we get it. We have AJ and we have Devontae and Swift. We get it. But Dallas is our guy in our way too. Like, even if he's just the third option, I felt like the situations that they were able to do to open up for Dallas throughout the game, especially in the first half, but throughout the game, I felt like that was valuable going forward because like I said, this was a boxing match. If we made some missteps, the Dolphins could have crushed us just as easily as we crushed them. So I give my hat off to Dallas Goedert, but I have to give a miscongeniality award to Sean Desai. And look, I'm not sold yet. I'm a big critic when it comes down to defensive coordinators, and the other defensive coordinator who is in Arizona that's going to get a punch in the teeth when he comes here later in the season. My feeling is Sean Desai, Temple fellow alum with myself. He made me proud because this is a defense that, if you look at the scoreboard, a defense that went up against a team that was averaging almost 50 points a game and held Dolphins offense to 17. I don't care how you grade defensive coordinators. That is a win. So I give him my Mr. Congeniality award for tonight.
Yeah, the player that stood out to me the most, because I'm that guy that I really like the trench game when it comes to, especially with the way the Eagles play the game, having the offensive and defensive lines work really well is going to be one of your main keys to success. I have to give it to Jason Kelsey. He was doing a lot of those, like snapping the ball, dropping out, and like wrapping around the line to seal off edges. And he did an incredible job. Not only that, just like dictating the pace of play, being able to make the proper calls on the line to be able to get some protections changed around for Jalen throughout this game. And especially in the tail end of it, running the two QB sneaks on 4th and 1 in the tail end of the fourth quarter, being able to just get this offensive line really going again, like they usually are. And I feel like he was the player that stood out to me the most. And then, like you did, the Mr. Congeniality, I have to go with Josh Sweat. I mean, he didn't do a ton until the late game, getting those 2 sacks, but they were 2 very key sacks. It really pulled the all of the energy out of that Dolphins offense, especially at the perfect time, where if they would have been able to drive, they would have gotten themselves right back in the game. And Josh Sweat did not let them do that.
You ask as a defense, or you hope as a defense, that the expectation is that your edge guys get home to the quarterback and your defensive tackles get home to solidify any kind of defense with the running game, to stifle the running game. And early on, with Jalen Carter like knocked out win for the Dolphins, that was a big blow. The fact that the Dolphins were already hurting on the offensive line, the idea that the Eagles' defensive line took advantage of that. Hassan Reddick early on, Josh Sweat later on. But I want to go back to your player of the game in the sense of Jason Kelsey. And before we came on, I said, it's interesting because I think it's going to be talked about on the national media more and more. It's not like it already hasn't been. But the tush push, the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it, my feeling is that it should not be illegal, because the quarterback sneak, for all intents and purposes, has been in the league forever almost.
Yeah.
So the minute that you make the tush push illegal, then you're basically saying the quarterback can't run up the middle. And so that's gonna lead to a lot of gray area. And Chris Collinsworth, as much as I don't always agree with him, I agreed with him tonight. You can't, if other teams are trying it and failing, you can't take the play away just because one team is succeeding at it. That's just, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if everybody else in the league was succeeding, then yeah. And I get that argument. Like, if everyone's doing it and they're all succeeding at it, then maybe we need to evaluate the competitiveness to that play, because there's no skill involved. But at least that's what people say. But in my opinion, you got a guy, Jalen Hurts, that squats 600 pounds. Now, look, I used to play football, and I never squatted 600. The most I ever squatted was 400, but I only played linebacker. Far be it from me to ever think I could play quarterback, but nonetheless, squat 600 pounds. This is a guy that, makes impact plays, and that tush push is an impact play. But to kind of go into your guy with Jason Kelsey, something else that Mike Tirico said was, think about this. Jason Kelsey, when that play is called, Jason Kelsey is volunteering himself to have 3,000 pounds land on him after
Mm-hmm.
that play. That's not a small feat for a guy that already has a back issue. So
Yeah.
now I'm starting to understand why he needs to go to those massages during
Yeah.
the week. I get it now.
Oh yeah. That man, just to be a fly on the wall, hearing that man's back crack has to
Oh,
be one of the most, at the same time, the most sickening and satisfying sound that I would ever hear in my entire life. Because like I'll have times where like I'll just like sit myself up a little straighter and I'll hear like 6 or 7 run
yep.
up. But that man, you probably hear every single one pop. Like it has to be insane.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
that's just the crazy thing is that when Tarico said that, I'm like, yeah, that's a great point. I'm like,
yeah. He gets
it's just amazing to me.
Yeah, they drop a lot of humanity onto Jason Kelsey, and the
Yeah.
fact that he's able to get back up every time is absolutely incredible. I want to jump into some of the comments here really quick before we move forward here. Ryan from at the top saying Austin, what in the world are you wearing? Are you serious? Following it up with immediately saying no Kelly Green jersey. I unfortunately do not have one. I plan on getting one eventually. I did get the hat at least, so I feel like that's something. We got Daniel Berry checking in. Daniel, what's going on, man? Steven also checking in from over on YouTube saying, goddamn, Craig Kimbrell kept this from being a top 10 weekend in Philly sports history. And I 100% agree. If it was not for Kimbrell, this would have been one of the greatest weekends. Me being a soccer fan, the Union lost, but I was willing to trade that for the Phillies win last night. Just overall, it was still a really good weekend. We got the big win for the Phillies last night. We got the Eagles win tonight. Phillies are coming back home tomorrow to kick off the week. Probably seal it up tomorrow night. Ryan checking in again, saying Jalen. We were talking about it earlier, saying that Jalen looks very tight and uncomfortable the way he's lining up to snap the ball. I mean, I feel like a little bit, I feel like he's trying to like keep himself upright a little bit more to get a better read on the defense. I really hope that that's what it is, and it's not the fact that he's actually like genuinely hurting or anything like that.
Look, he got popped a couple times today,
He did.
and what I can say from that is that he's just a tough dude, and I mean, like there's a lot of tough guys in that locker room, but he's the kind of leader, and I've said this before, he's the kind of leader that's different than most. He's the kind of guy that's not just going to say, okay, I'm going to say a bunch of words and I'm going to go in
I'm
front of the press.
fat.
Oh, we missed you.
Pat
Hey.
has made it in. There he is.
Finally, guys, listen, we've had a lot to go on. I mean, listen, I'm listening to you guys talk, but I couldn't help. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly from Jalen Hurts tonight. I get it. He's banged up, but that play he made to AJ Brown was unbelievable. Where he scrambled out of the pocket, going down and throwing it. He's hobbling. He's hobbling doing this. Again, then he made that one horrible pit throw that was a complete interception. And then, like I said, just a good bad. But however, I mean, he was making some big plays, and he was spreading the ball around tonight. Again, he
Yeah.
did a good job spreading the ball around, getting Dallas Goedert in the playbook a little bit, which was really nice to see. Again, trying, and I gotta say, Brian Johnson playbook was not bad at all. First 2 plays coming out the shoot were running plays. Didn't work. Obviously, the Dolphins had a game plan to shut down the run game. Okay, forced Jalen Hurts to throw the ball a little bit, and he was successful at it. So I get it. Some guys were not successful with the red zone was becoming an issue again. But they figured it out. Again, throwing that deep ball. That's one thing Jalen Hurts can do. He was throwing that the deep ball between we all know the connection between him and AJ Brown. It's fire. So it worked. And
to touch on that, Pat,
or on this.
to touch on that, it's about both teams were trying to get their running games going because honestly, both running games are really strong. The Eagles had struggles, but they also had successes where the Dolphins did not have successes and continued to struggle throughout the game. And I think that was a big benchmark in the game and a big difference in the game overall, because the Eagles defense was like the Dolphins offense, rushing offense is one of the tops in NFL currently. And the Eagles defense just shut them down.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, they did. They did. They did shut them down, and that's like I said. That's one of the main things here. Like that defense was nasty, and like once it started to pick up steam, it was great. And then you saw that second half where the Dolphins got a little progress going with the running game. No, they made the right adjustments. They shut it down again. Face having Tua. Now remember, Tua lost Waddle for a little piece of that game. So which was kind of helped the Birds out. But even still, with Waddle in there, and you only saw what's called Bradbury get burnt a couple times by Tyreek Hill. So that was that was automatically going to be a given. But other than that, I mean, like I said, I thought again this was another kind of tough battle for the Birds. We all knew. The Dolphins weren't going to come in here and be a day at the beach. However, this was a football team that the Miami Dolphins weren't up to task for. They have yet
Yeah.
to see a team like this. Again, they just blew Carolina out the water.
Yeah.
They come into South Philly and that's it. We locked the bar doors and told me you couldn't leave.
Yeah, and there were a couple of things in that I want to sort of come back to really quick and touch on and give you my opinion on them. The Jalen Hurts pick six. That honestly was just a really good read by the linebacker, seeing a receiver going out in the flat, being able to jump that really quick as because it was a quick little boot out to that side to throw on the same side. Linebacker was already coming over on the spy, had the time to be able to jump that route, get that pick, and he was just close enough to be able to run that in. So I don't really put too much blame on Jalen. I give more credit to the linebacker for getting that jump to be able to get that interception. Sort of like how I give Darius Slay the credit on getting that interception more than I would put blame on Tua for that, because it was a very well placed ball. It's just the guy got a really good jump on it, was able to get there and be able to take it away. And then oh crap, what was the other one?
Well, the guy I don't know, because Dan looked like he threw it right out the dude's hand. But I mean, luckily, look, it turned out to be a pick six. It got ugly, but like I said, couple of these things, man, they just had to be worked on. They fixed it. Again, this was a tough win. We go to 6-1. They go to 5-2. Again, this is another win for the Birds heading into DC. So this is the kind of stuff you need. So let's get into the quick comments here. I was listening a little bit in the back here. Where did you stop at with the comments there?
I was on this one actually. We were sort of extrapolating a little bit. Not that one. I'm sorry. No, it was this one. It was another one from Steve.
Steve, my man Steve. He goes,
that pick woke Brian Johnson up. His Hurts playing hurt in the lower body, maybe an ankle or a hamstring. And I was saying, I hope it was more just like how he was standing was just a little bit more, upright to be able to get a better eye on the defensive scheme, maybe be able to make some better calls. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Walter checking in saying, Nicky has some balls. They did it twice in the end, 4th and 1. And dude, that was just the pure dominance of what the Eagles can do with just short yardage play. Because it was
I don't believe the first time was Nick's call. I believe that was Jalen's.
No, yeah, that was Jalen going to the sideline when the punt team went out, and he was like, we can get this, right? Like, we've been able to eat on them up the middle all night long. Like,
he was probably like, why are we coming off the field?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? Why are we coming off the field?
Yeah, like Jalen definitely pointed up to like that little like the ring board around like the separator between the upper and lower bowls of the stadium. And was like, you see, it says 4th and 1, right? Like, why am I here right now? And Nick probably went, oh crap, you're right. Hold on a minute.
Well, we gotta, who else we gotta give big applause to is big play Slay. Come up with the pick.
Yeah.
At the very end, and as the game was coming down the wire, my man came up with a huge pick and got someone yardage out of the deal. But I was really happy to see him come off. Again, people thought automatically he was going to get burned. If anybody got burned, it was Bradbury tonight. So, but yeah, I'm glad he came in the game with a nice, with a nice pick, helped the Birds out. Again, help the momentum out. And this is again both sides of the team, both sides of the ball, really, really helping each other out here. So, like I said, Jalen doing his things. Again, the run game wasn't as effective. Even Gainwell got some touches tonight, but it's just just Jalen just like I said, I saw the good and the bad and the ugly with him today. Him being banged up a little bit, he made some bad decisions. However, like I said, he also made some really good ones. I mean, some tight throws that he was making through double coverages, through tight windows. He was looking really, really solid tonight.
I mean, on 63 total pass attempts between the two quarterbacks, there were only 17 incompletions total between the two. Hurts going 23 of 31. That's 8 incompletions. Tua going 23 of 32. That's 9. So I mean,
Wow.
there was a lot of very solid QB play between the two. It's just the Eagles wound up coming out on top because our defensive line was able to break through a lot more. And the other thing that I just remembered what it was that I wanted to touch back on from what you were talking about earlier, because you mentioned Darius Slay getting the interception. Eli Ricks, fourth quarter, fourth down, game on the line for Miami, locks down Tyreek Hill, gets the breakup, forces the turnover on downs for the Eagles to get that drive in to put the game away. What were your thoughts seeing that play happen?
Well, I love this kid, and no offense to Josiah Scott or Goodrich or whatever his name is, or this kid has been on my radar since preseason. I sometimes I have my select choice players that I keep an eye out for because I think they can have breakout moments. And Ricks just seems like he's one of those guys. And I'm going to put him in a situation where Avonte Maddox is on the clock. And I think Ricks could be the replacement for Avonte Maddox. Because for me, he's a guy that doesn't get fooled by much. And look, I'll kind of go back to what, Pat was saying earlier about Bradbury being burned by Tyreek Hill. No offense, but 90% of the corners in the league get burned by Tyreek Hill.
Right.
But Ricks proves that he's part of that 10% that doesn't. And that's where I agree with Austin is it did not surprise me, but at the same time I'm proud that he had that moment because now we can build off of that.
Yeah,
right.
That was definitely a route that Tyreek Hill has run so often, that like 7-yard out route to the sideline. And he's beaten so many people over his career just doing that route. And Eli Ricks was right in his back pocket, reaches that right hand around as the ball comes in, gets the beautiful breakup. Like I said, forcing the turnover on downs and basically putting the game away right on the spot there. So you have to give him a ton of credit. The defense came through big time today for Philadelphia.
The defense, the offense, again, seeing Goddard get some touches was nice. Again, him running those cross routes, him going over the middle. I mean, he was getting some spacing out there. I mean, stuff that you want to see from your tight end on National Tight End Day. So here goes a couple more comments. Here goes Steve. I feel like his acceleration is hampered like every other week. I don't know exactly what
talking about Jalen Hurts.
Oh, okay. My man Quinn, what's up, Quinn? He goes, I'd like to apologize to the Philadelphia Eagles for predicting a score of 97-23. I'm sorry. Jeez. What was in your drink this morning, Quinn?
That was actually one of the things that Joe and I were talking about before we went live. Was he was saying the way both teams played, you would have expected the over to have been set to like 70-some points.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be an easy beat. Like, no doubt it was going to go over that. And at the end of the first quarter, seeing it tied at 3, you were like, uh-oh. And then just everything sort of opened up from there. Like we had said, it was like both sides, in the first round of a boxing match, you were saying you use the jab to feel each other out really quick. And then that second round, they're like, okay, you got him. If you can land that hook, do it. And both teams just sort of just standing in the center of the ring, just throwing haymakers.
Yeah. So Ryan checking us saying, so we're the Jets.
He was saying that because we were talking about how we played against the Dolphins, who were missing their 1 and 2 corners, and then last week we played against the Jets, who were missing their number 1 and number 2 corner, and the result was totally different.
Right. Definitely. Desai seriously beat Fiango at his home game. We had a nice post snap adjustment on that slate pick. Yeah, that's right, Steve. That slate pick was everything.
Yeah,
We
they
needed
definitely
Raiders.
they were
We put
not
28.
expecting. Yeah, I feel like the Dolphins on that play were not expecting Jalen Waddle to be as close to Raheem Mostert as he was when the ball was put up in the air, because Slay was
Mm-hmm.
within, I want to say, 3 or 4 yards of Mostert, and Waddle was a few yards behind Slay, and Slay was like, "Oh, hey, this is all me." It just went right for it.
So when I played linebacker, there was a rule. When you play zone or when you play a zone coverage, if there's a running back that comes out and there's a receiver within 5 or 6 yards, you just sit in between them because the ball's coming that way. Even if it goes to the receiver, you can pick up and kind of pick up that speed and pick up that yardage quickly enough. You're trailing, but you could still make that adjustment. If it's the running back and they're below you, then you can collapse underneath onto that running back quickly. In that play, Mostert and Waddle were 5 yards apart. All Slay did was sit. He just sat there and was like,
Yep.
if you're gonna throw it, if you're gonna be dumb enough to throw it, then go right ahead.
Yeah,
Right.
and even more so if you're going to be throwing it, you're throwing it to the shorter guy. That's the other mistake that you're making,
Yeah.
because you want to try and beat a corner over their head. You never want to try and beat them short because they'll be able to jump down. And this was actually sort of going back to something that you had mentioned earlier, how both teams were really trying to get their running game going. Philadelphia really did a great job against Miami's run game throughout all 4 quarters.
Mhm.
We held them in the first half to -7 rushing yards.
And
So
this
if that
man,
and Miami was supposed to be one of the better rushing offenses in the NFL, and to hold them to negative yardage in the first half of the game is absolutely incredible.
and this name right here, I gotta give. If you're gonna have 3 stars of a game, he's gonna get number 3. Hassan Reddick was a beast in that first half. He was making sure that,
Yep.
like you say, you want to talk about the reason why their offensive, their run game couldn't get anywhere, because this man right here clogged it. This man was causing havoc up in the
4 total
front. So
tackles, 2 for loss.
that edge rushing he was coming at, man, it was really really good. Steve checking in goes, AJ Brown looks like Wesley Snipes and Omar Epps had a baby.
Bro, I saw that the second you put it up, and I was like, I feel so bad for saying that he really is right about this,
Yes.
because like I was
Yes.
like, I just feel bad for making that connection, because like I'm a huge Omar Epps fan. I love House, so like I see a lot of Omar Epps at my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit. Shit.
That he was
Yeah.
another
AJ, just
gang
don't.
movie that he was in was Belly.
AJ,
Yes.
just don't pull Wesley Snipes. Pay your taxes. Don't pull Wesley Snipes.
Shit. But I like my man Stevie goes, I would like to thank B. Dot John. Oh, I think it's B. Dot Johnson for finally having the common sense to call a screen in the red zone. Yes. How about that? How about that?
Shout out B Dot.
My man.
Finally getting some common sense.
Yes, and Edge of Philly Sports chiming in because we own the brotherly love shove. No, I don't want the brother. I like the tush push. I like getting pushed in the tush.
Look, you
Well,
can
that's
call it the tush push because that's what floats your boat.
yes. Well,
You know,
for a good time.
I'm just gonna call it this every time.
You're right, Joe.
Just call it a first down every single time.
We just went to the Blue Oyster right now. So
Yeah, all right. If they make the brother,
I know it's EOP after dark, but this is
yes, where things like to get weird. If they make the brotherly love shove illegal, then Tyreek legs, Tyreek Hill's legs should be outlawed. Good point. Oh, my man, Ryan.
I feel like if they're going to start banning like particular plays, then they should also ban a player not resetting when in motion, because that was one of the things that was getting the Dolphins receivers a lot of leverage going into their routes, was the fact that they were running from one side of the field to the other, ball snapping, and they're still not even set and then going. They're just still coming around the side and then just getting that. It's almost like arena football. They would let those receivers get the run up beforehand. Like the whole point of an illegal shift or anything like that is that someone's in motion and not completely coming set, and you're letting these receivers just run clean across the formation, and you're allowed to snap the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought up a graphic during the game. The league average for motion pre-snap is 54%. The Dolphins do it 85% of the time. 85. And you look at the two players they have in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, two absolute, essentially Ferraris on the field. Like, these guys take off, and letting them get this kind of run up is really, I feel like it's more detrimental than the fact that we have a quarterback that can actually move his legs very well.
Yeah,
and they're strong legs. It's literally you took Lamar Jackson and gave him Saquon's quads.
Pretty much.
That's basically what we have.
And that's a good point, Austin, because that's the part there. Hey, what's going on around my computer? But that's the thing that's bothering people, because he can run really fast and they know he can squat 600 pounds. So they're trying to say it's cheating, pretty much. Like Quentin here said.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you weren't allowed to have an absolute unit on your team in any position.
You're right.
Then
right.
just outlaw the NFL, because every single player in this league is peak physical performance.
So what are they going to do? Have a buzzard when you get to 575 or 595 on the squat machine, so you can't get to 600? Like, what are the NFL officials going to do? Like, are you going to have monitored workouts? Like, come on now.
I'll tell you this much though. If I don't see an Instagram reel from AJ Brown tomorrow morning saying that he got drug tested by the league, because every time he goes over 120 yards, he gets drug tested, and it's a legitimate fact.
Hey. On the road. But yeah, that's another thing. That's another point, right? My man now 5 weeks has over 125 yards of catching.
Look, he's a beyond beast.
Like I said, mm-hmm.
He's absolutely
so
a whole other level of receiver compared to a lot of other guys out there.
Right. So Eagles win. Here goes Lil Griffin. He goes Eagles win game. Yep, definitely did. For those hating the push, then stop the play. Good point.
That's why that's why there's a defensive side of the ball. You try and stop plays. If you can't, it just means it's a good play.
And this is the ultimate thing. The Birds do it so much better than everybody else. He goes,
not our fault. It's not our fault.
It's not our fault that our quarterback squats 600 pounds.
It's not our fault that our offensive line is the best in the league. You want to outlaw our offensive line?
Right. Come on. Again, like I said, it's a world of difference with Lane Johnson in there. But I think the main problem of today was not on the Bird side, but I was trying to figure out how many penalty calls did the Dolphins have tonight?
11.
How many?
11.
I mean, you shot yourself in the foot majority of the game today.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, even the one where they called it, I guess, like the one push, they were trying to say it was, it was, but no, it really should have just been. Again, it really should have been 13.
For the second time this year, they called the Philadelphia Eagles offside because they said the left guard's hand was lined up even with the ball, and that hand was Jason Kelce's. For the second time this season, I guarantee you on the next episode of New Heights, Kelce's going to be like, they did it again. They called one of our guys offsides, and that was my hand that they saw.
If the refs need an eye exam, I have plenty of doctors that I could line up an eye exam for them.
I mean, shoot, America's Best does it for $69.99.
Yeah, and I like a good $69.99.
Hey, but I know people at Wills Eye Hospital. Believe me, I'm the expert in this.
Right, exactly. So here goes my man Mike Papernick. What's up, Mike? He goes, well, Jalen hurts his knee in the second quarter. I guess he hurt his knee in the second quarter, and then he comes out with the brace after that, after halftime. Yeah, that's something you have to be aware about. CTH says Hurts is overrated.
My man's working the ladle. He's out there stirring the pot, dude.
Yes, he is. My CTH is out there stirring the pot. Here goes Joe Hale goes, our defense line was big for the game for this game. Yeah. Here goes my man Steve also saying, I hate the empty backfield plays that this team runs. Conversely, if you're going to run a quarterback draw, then spread the damn field.
Yeah. Yeah,
I hear you, Steve.
Especially on the draw, because the fact that it's a delay before you go. You really do need to open that field up so that way the box isn't as stacked. And it's just one of those weird things. Like, you want to have as much protection as possible near the line for in case anyone happens to break through. But at the same time, like I said, especially on the draw, having that bit of a delay before you actually go into the run, especially when it's designed, it's a lot tougher when you have such a close, I guess you could say, a close bunching of your skill players. But it is what it is. Can't really knock it too much.
The one thing that I can say, and it was kind of brought up in the telecast, is that when Jalen saw some differences, because it's interesting because we haven't brought it up. Vic Fangio was the defense coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Vic Fangio, as everyone knows, spent a lot of time at Eagles practices last season as a defensive consultant. Yep. So there was a part where he kind of knew a little bit of our book. And I thought that would have given him the upper hand. But he struggled because Jalen Hurts made pre-snap adjustments. He saw some of the things that Fangio was trying to throw at him and made hot reads right pre-snap. So, for people who sit there and say Jalen Hurts is overrated, no, Jalen Hurts is a strong, powerful, mentally strong, and very intelligent leader on that football field. There's a lot of things that guy covers that most quarterbacks in this league don't.
Well, Joe, I think the person who's obviously chiming in the show is obviously a troll. So,
obviously, but
yeah. So, Joe House says Dallas Goedert had a good game again. My man Quentin says Julio had a catch.
Yes.
How about one catch for 3 yards?
Woo-hoo! Take your shirts off now. Jalen all season
it's only a matter of time before he gets more involved and starts making some really decent plays.
Mm-hmm.
That man's an incredible possession receiver, really good route runner. Even though he's up there in age now, that man still hasn't really lost much in terms of his game. So give it a couple of weeks, let him acclimate to the playbook, and he'll start making some really good ones.
Totally agree. Hey, so here goes our man Mike Papernick also saying Jalen all season except for the Rams games has not went through the whole progression well.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, a lot of his initial reads haven't really been as good as they could be, especially as he's dropping back and looking for a receiver to throw to. But that honestly, it's like we've been saying, it's a whole new offense. Brian Johnson's playbook is going to be slightly different from what Shane Steichen's was last year. So there's going to be a few other things. You have to wait for some of that playbook to open up as the coordinator more gets acclimated to the way these players play, and we're starting to see it open up a little bit more every single week. And like we were saying, running some screenplays in the red zone, running Dallas Goedert on a lot more of those flats. It's been exactly what you want to see, is like the short yardage games now starting to come into play a lot more. We're taking big shots when they really matter most, and we're being able to get a lot more success on them. Like that AJ Brown, the couple of deep passes that he had today, absolutely beautiful.
And I would also piggyback off of what Pat said earlier, which was, for him not being able to go through those progressions, he's making up for it with some of the great throws he's making.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I would say that game, but you also can't take out the Tampa Bay game. I thought he was really, really well. Mike also says Jalen has 8 interceptions. Listen, I get it.
Yes.
It's a little higher than it was last year. I get it.
Hey,
Um,
it's okay. It's all right. Some mistakes are always made. It's about how you respond to them and how you learn from them. And Jalen Hurts is
right.
doing a really good job of being able to respond to some of the poor plays, decision making, processes that he makes. He's being able to make up for those with better plays later on. And especially because of the fact that if you're getting them out of the way early, you have a better chance of being back in the game or ahead in the tail end of the game if you're not making those same mistakes. And he's been doing an incredible job of keeping his mistakes early in the game, except for the Jets game, obviously.
Right. So here goes another one. Our man Steve says, I thought Johnson can sometimes contribute to putting Jalen in a position to channel his inner deck here and there. I hope that stops
Oh,
soon.
good grief.
Here goes Mike Pepper. He said Jalen had 6 interceptions in all 22.
Yeah, 100%.
I get it.
That is correct.
Some bad, yeah, he had some bad throws, but you also got to understand he has a whole lot tougher schedule now, and that's not.
It's
And the
also
bad teams have gotten better,
yeah,
so you got to
and
put
it's
that in
also
accountability.
yeah, and it's also not that often that your touchdown to interception ratio is going to be that fast.
Right,
You're especially playing with the deep play that we play with. You're gonna underthrow a couple. They're gonna get picked. They're gonna be 50-50 balls. It happens. It is what it is. Like I said, you just have to be able to either just leave that play completely where it was, or if it stays in your mind, of it be able to push it to the back of your mind. So that way, as the game goes forward, you're not getting in your own head and making those same mistakes. And Jalen Hurts does a very good job of that in a game-to-game basis. And yet, like Mike's just saying, a mistake is a mistake no matter what quarter of the game it is. I 100% agree. But I feel like in terms of being able to really, like, I guess you could say, rally and battle in a late game situation, if any mistakes are made, if you can have them happen earlier in the game, you're going to be in a better spot. And yes, the Dolphins didn't have Xavier Howard or Jalen Ramsey for this game.
Yeah, but when you play the numbers game as a quarterback and you have enough attempts, you're going to make against quality players that are going to hone in on your tendencies. Look, we've all said this before. When Jalen Hurts first came in the league, oh, they don't have film on him. Well, now the league has plenty of film on him. So yeah, he's going to get solved, which means he's going to get picked off, but he's still able. The most important stat that people want to say, oh, is there's 8 interceptions. How many wins does he have? Let's just worry about the W's, because I don't care if you throw 5 interceptions in a Super Bowl. If you still wind up winning the Super Bowl, you still get the ring.
Listen,
exactly.
and here goes more to it, right? We all know last year, not every, you know how hard it was to play to your MVP caliber year? Like, that's hard to play to. Like, you're expected to me, I'm like, he's not going to have, he may take a step back, and he took a slight step back as far as the pick ratio. But other than that, I mean, who would you trade him with if you could? I mean, right now, I would still think he's still a top 10 quarterback. Would you not? I mean, come on, Mike. I mean, I'm still thinking, I mean, he's still my guy. He's still, again, I saw the good, the bad, the ugly from today. I saw, hey, look, he's hobbling out there. His decision making was somewhat good, somewhat bad today. We've seen it. But, again, some of those plays, the flashes that he's shown you, he can throw a bullet through tight windows. He can, again, just find himself out of traffic. The whole tush push again, quarterback sneaks, and then when his legs do get at 100%, we all know what he can do with his legs. Okay,
I'd go one step further, Pat. I put him in top 3.
I don't know if you could do that right now.
I mean, who would be? I mean, who would be your top 5? Because honestly, like, my top 3 right now are Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I still feel like Burrow is still
I
there.
definitely hold on, Joe. I definitely agree with this comment right here from Quinn. He goes, "Going forward, I trust Hurts. I don't trust the play calling yet." I do
Okay,
agree.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
That one I do agree with.
It's like I said earlier. Like I I give Sean Desai a Mr. Congeniality award for this game, but I still don't trust him. Like I'm still like, just because he held face against the Miami Dolphins, can he hold face against other big competition like
Hmm.
the Chiefs that are coming up, like the Cowboys and stuff like that? Like, can he hold this defense to be stout through those other teams? Was this just a one-off? Or is he going to get, buried the next time he goes against a good offense? So I agree with that. Like, sometimes you want to just say, okay, he had a good game. I'm going to call it like I see it. But you still don't have to trust him right now. Just like I don't trust Sean Desai yet.
All right, so Ray Joe, I want to quickly give you a runoff. You tell me where he falls. Same thing with you, Austin, real fast. Let's go Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson,
I
Travis
I have
Lawrence,
I have Jalen
Kirk
Hurts
Cousins,
as a top
Dak.
4 quarterback right now. Joe Burrow has not been having the season that he would like to have. He's starting to come around
So
a
yeah,
bit.
you're right.
Josh Allen's had a bit of a rough start to the
Yep.
season, but Mahomes has been decent. I definitely
Yep.
don't have Justin Herbert anywhere near the top 5.
And Aaron Rodgers is hurt for the season, so
Yeah,
Right.
so
So he's out of it. So I guess you would say he would be a top 5 quarterback right now.
now Quentin does make
Ooh.
a you saw it at the same time that I did.
Yeah.
Quentin asking if you would pick Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts. Who would you pick?
I'd
Hurts,
still
baby.
go Hurts.
Hurts. Yeah. My man made sure he was going to win this game. You took that man's job in college, and he made sure he was going to win today. So,
Well, I mean, it was sort of one of those things. It was like
if you had him,
it was in college for them. It was a tit for tat thing because Hurts didn't play well in the first national championship game. Tua came in for him, won the national championship, and then the following year, Tua got hurt during the national championship. Hurts came in, sealed the rest of the game for them. So honestly, though, if I had to pick between the two from what I've seen from their careers thus far, I still have to go with Jalen Hurts. There's something different about how he, as a leader for a team compared to Tua. I feel like Tua fits for Miami for Mike McDaniel's system.
Yeah.
He fits perfectly. If I'm running the Miami Dolphins, then I would probably consider taking Tua because of the fact that it's how he fits the scheme there. If I'm running the Philadelphia Eagles with the current roster that we have, but I can pluck out a player and put another player in, I'm leaving Jalen Hurts there. The only thing that I would probably change is add Derrick Henry to our running back system because I would love to have a man amongst boys as a running back. Like, that man is built like an absolute Mack truck, and if you have a chance to get him, do it. Like, but that's just me. But I mean, honestly, I feel like everyone that's on this team right now is right where they need to be.
I'll tell you this right now, Austin, point blank, period, and I never say this. If Derrick Henry was on the block right now, I would give pretty much any player and a first round pick to bring him here.
Oh yeah.
Because not just the Mack truck, but the Mack truck behind the U-Haul that is the offensive line. He's going to go, you're giving me this? Okay. You don't have to pay me. Yeah. I'm good.
Basically running an M1 Abrams tank behind a literal steel wall that's being shoved through.
Yeah.
Mike Papernick also says the Eagles need a safety to go back up, go with Blankenship and the slot back. Yeah. Definitely. Real fast before we get into the ads here with Edge Affiliate Sports and all that stuff, guys. As Matty B and Dodge would say before they roll out, player of the game, and I'm going to go with Austin.
A.J. Brown. Man had an absolute killer of a game today. Just consistent, incredible catches throughout the entire game. Even be it a deep ball or be it the short game, he was making his presence known throughout. And like we said when you first hopped in, fifth straight game of 125 plus yards to throughout a season. He's one of 3 players to do it, and I feel like he's going to get number 6. I feel like he's going to get it next week.
Yeah, all right. I like it. I like it. I like your confidence. I can see it happening. He's been all over that field. He's been Jalen Hurts' go-to guy again. Speed, muscle. He's got the whole total package as far as being a wideout. Like he could do it all. He's got the height. He's got the speed. He's got muscle. Everything you want in a wide receiver. I can't see why wouldn't he be able to crack that. Let's go to Joey. Who was your player of the game?
I gotta go with the guy. Like I said earlier, I gotta go with a guy, and it's fitting because it's National Tight End Day. I'm gonna go with Dallas Goedert. He got this offense steaming in the first half, and he kind of kept the steam going. He's getting his wings underneath him for this season, and that's dangerous news for the rest of the league because now you can't just worry about AJ Brown. Now you can't just worry about Swift. Now you can't just worry about Devontae. You have to worry about every single weapon that's on this offense. And now Dallas Goedert is putting the whole league on National Tight End Day on notice.
Definitely. Mike Pepperink says for him it was Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. My man Quentin says player of the game. Sirianni going for 4th and 1 going for a 4th and 1 twice. Honorable mention the tush push. See, I'm going to outdo you there, Quentin, my man. Player of the game, the yellow penalty flags that didn't come, that won all on the raindrops on the Dolphins today. That's my player of the game because
there were
usually,
definitely a few throughout that game that I was like that should have been called. Like there were a couple of
yes.
I would probably say illegal contact.
It felt good at the referees in your pocket for once.
Yeah,
it felt
probably
good.
Probably not DPI on them, but if they were to call it, I would understand. But I feel like there were at least a couple, like 2 or 3 that should have possibly been illegal contact on Philadelphia.
Quentin says, agree, Pat. Yeah, definitely, man. I have to go with the penalty flags for once. For once, I know it's like not to catch and
to give you the stat breakdown for Mike's choices and Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. It's 6 total tackles, 4 for loss, 2 sacks.
Wow.
So that totally understandable.
Even though he had he had that one ugly interception. If I'm going to be serious though, it's got to be Jalen. Just the battle through the injury that he's going through with the leg, and still to make some of those incredible throws. How can you not? I mean, and like I said, finding AJ Brown through a tight window, through him getting ready to get collapsed on, just staying in the pocket and just taking the punch right to the chest, and him just not phasing from it, and just find guys over the middle. I mean, that's my guy. So, listen, guys,
there's definitely even an argument for going with the defensive line for the fact that holding one of the best running offenses in the NFL to 45 yards rushing the entire game, holding -7 by halftime. Like there's definitely a few places that you could have given a game ball out to, and honestly, I'd give a game ball to everybody if I could. This was an overall decent to great game by both sides of the ball on this night.
Yeah. So again, believe it or not, this will be I think like the second or maybe third 1 o'clock game coming up here on Sunday for the Birds. We've been doing all these primetime games. Well, that's what happens when you go to the Super Bowl. So the Eagles, Washington, down DC, heading towards head to face the Commanders. That's going to be going down. But before we get out of here, Joe, where can people find you out on social media?
You guys can find me on Facebook. I have plenty of groups. You can look me up at Joe Marks. And then you can find me on Twitter at JoeWolf112680. Just check me out, especially tomorrow if the Phillies pull off a win. I will be selling some NLCS championship gear. I'm a Fanatics affiliate, so I will be posting all that stuff as soon as they go live.
There you go. There you go. And of course, you can catch my man. You can catch the Hammer, Joey Marks, down. He's usually on Pornhub. Selling some videos as the Hammer, hanging out there, pants down around the ankles.
Why are you ruining my side gig here? Why you ruining?
Sorry if I went in depth. No,
He goes by an alias for a reason, dude.
Yeah, seriously.
Uh-oh.
You're lucky my face isn't pixelated. You know.
Then it would have just given it away completely.
They don't see my face. That they don't see this head. They see the other head.
So this part's censored.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. You animal. But
I want to censor my ears right now, so I don't have to hear this.
Boy. We just have that train just went right off the track.
Yeah.
Man.
But anyway,
it always does when it's me and Pat, though. That's just how it always goes.
Yes. My man, Austin, where can people find you and what shows and all that stuff?
Oh man, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. at the Attacking Third. It's me. It's Bozo over here.
Hi, I'm Pat.
and our boy Gustavo. Just we got Philadelphia Union playoffs coming up soon. I believe it's this next Saturday, right? The 28th.
It is after midnight.
We got
Yes.
Oh my goodness, dude.
For all you soccer fans, you've heard of Pele. That's Fele.
Yeah. Yes, but
and then aside from that, I'm gonna be getting back into the video game streaming thing. Twitch.tv/Hambo26. It's HAMBO26. Not the best video gamer guy out there, but I'm a fun one. And I do okay sometimes, I guess. Could be a lot worse.
Right. Absolutely. So, and of course, guys, catch if you're ever down at the Subaru Park, you can catch Austin as well. He's a Union beat reporter, so catch him out down there as well. Again, for me, you catch
also
me
on
PM
Clear the
AM
Ice now too.
morning,
I did my first episode last night.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting like me. You're getting like a Rolodex. So, you catch me at PM in the AM. You catch me on Attacking 30. Catch me on Steel Steps. You can catch me just about anywhere, all across all the time. I am, of course, on Twitter as Pat from Ambler. Hit me up, and of course, I do beat reporting for for the Union, for the Philadelphia Wings. So, guys, check out all the stuff. Yes, thank you so much. Go Phillies! Most important tomorrow. Go Phils, go Flyers, and this week go Sixers. So, guys, the EOP family will be keeping you guys up to date. We'll have Phillies post game, Sixers post game, Eagles, you name it. We have it. We have it all going on. It's like a never-ending good time. So, anyway, guys, enjoy your night, and we're gonna run some of these great ads here, and then we'll get out of here. Sorry, my man. Boom. All right, know what? I'll just read these ones. Guys, real fast, David Archeri Esquire, give him a call today, 610-565-0300. Worker compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. Hit him up today, David Archeri Esquire. Give him a shout. Here goes our man. Here goes Sherry Ticket Town, guys. Use the promo code EOP10. Save yourself 10% off. And look, great prices, no hidden fees. Sports, concerts, theaters. Listen, man, that the NLCS could be wrapping up here. Be part of the moment. Get yourself sharetickets.com. Get yourself the UP10 and get yourself 10% off. So you're not going to want to miss that at all. So with that, it's just about our time to wrap it up here. And one more. Philly Sports Trips, guys. Hit up Philly Sports Trips as always. As you've seen this coming up this weekend. House Thomas, Jason Avant will be on the bus trip heading down there. You want to hang out with those guys? Go ahead. It's going to be a fun time. Guys, give those guys a jingle and tell them EOP sent you.
Mr. Third Down, man. Mr. Third Down, Jay Vaughn.
Yeah, so let's get out of here.